Hi, welcome to a very long video where I talk about my training now as a 2:33 marathoner, going for a 2:30 marathon, and how that differs from when I was struggling to break 3 hours for years. So it's just gonna be a lot of information and a week of training as I approach a 2:30 marathon in about a month. This video is sponsored by Path Projects. They just released their half and full Sentinel tights, something I got to be a part of in the production and insights. So more on that later, but I hope you enjoy the video. Welcome to Monday. Today I am running 13 miles on the day. It was supposed to be a double, 9 in the morning and 4 in the evening, but had a weekend where I spent the night in the tent in the backyard with my boys. It was 25 degrees. Didn't get the best sleep. So wanted to make sure I got really good sleep. And that's my first point in this video is back in the day, 2019, I didn't really pay attention to sleep much at all. It was the time where I was building my first YouTube channel, and I would stay up till 3 a.m., 5 a.m. to finish videos. And while I don't regret that in building a business and doing that in that grinding phase of my life, my performance is not up to par with getting at least 6 hours of sleep. Really, everyone says it should be 7 or more. So last night I got 8 hours of sleep, and now I'm just doing 13 continuous miles on the treadmill this afternoon at the end of my workday, sacrificing a bit of work time because I could do that now since my business is built. And I just wanted to touch on easy running. It's not something I talk about a lot on this channel, but it's vitally important in aerobic base building and a marathon training block. In 2019, when I was trying to go for a sub-3 marathon, it was the first block where I actually put in effort in strategy in my training block instead of just running easy or minimally throughout every week. So I structured Wednesday workouts, which we'll get into in this video, midweek workouts and long runs, although I struggled with those early on. Now most of my training, 85% is easy running. Back then, I was really obsessed with the Maffetone method, Dr. Maffetone, where he goes into different heart rate zones, with zone 2 being the zone you want to be in most of the time if you're training in that easy running. But in that era, a lot of people were obsessed with this zone 2 training and were married to their watch or their chest heart rate monitor and constantly and obsessively checking their heart rate on runs. It's not how I wanted to continue to keep training because it felt so militant and it took the fun out of running for me. So I abandoned that and started running easy off of feel, which is what I still do today. It's not that I don't like measuring heart rate, it's just that heart rate is now, as my coach says, the guide and not the governor. When you make it your governor and you're constantly looking at it to make sure you're in that zone 2, it's really hard to figure out where your effort level is feeling wise. So some days I'm running 8:30 mile pace in the mornings when I'm sluggish and I just got out of bed and there's no light outside. And then there's other times, like right now, where I'm running 7:53 mile pace on the treadmill, but my heart rate's at 116. It's very, very low. Now, there's caveats to that. I'm a lot fitter than I used to be, but I'm not looking at that heart rate thinking I need to actually increase it because it's not in zone 2, but rather just going off of feel, knowing that this workout and these miles are just aerobic base building foundational miles in my entire marathon block that's helping me build that aerobic engine. And I'm not going too hard today so that I'm fatigued for my Wednesday workout, which you'll see in 2 more days. I coach a few dozen athletes and we prescribe a lot of easy days for them as well. And I always talk about how easy is a feeling and not data. So you have to figure out what that is for you that day. If you're coming off of a Wednesday workout or a long run over the weekend and your legs are fatigued, there's no problem going much slower because these miles are just meant to build that aerobic engine. It's something that I wouldn't take very seriously in those early days. And before I did that method training, I would actually go out and run a lot of my easy days too hard just to post those stats on Strava or Nike Run Club and get all the praise from friends. But I think really the metric you should be more concerned about is what's your weekly mileage at the end of the week, and did you hit your target goal? Because if you're burning yourself out too much in the middle of the week with running harder than easy, you might not get the volume that you want, and therefore you're not hitting the goals. The second thing I want to talk about before we move on to Tuesday is that having access to something like a treadmill can be vitally important to you. If you're in a situation like I'm in right now, where it just snowed a ton this past week in Chicago, and it's currently 5 degrees Fahrenheit outside, having this option is really amazing for getting the time in with easy miles, where I'm just steps away from my family and can join them very quickly again without having to layer up like crazy. I've actually been doing a lot of my workouts on the treadmill as well because the roads have been too dicey to run on and the tracks are completely covered in snow. So I'm not saying you need to get a treadmill at home for yourself and spend that much money, but a cheap gym membership with access to one treadmill may be a really, really good investment for you. Now this is the Nordic Track Commercial 1750, had it for about a year, and it's held up really nicely. I like it a lot. And just to set the precedent for the rest of this video, comparing myself to 2019 me was a 3:10 marathon, whereas now I'm running 2:30 to 2:35 in the marathon. A lot of this training isn't super sexy, and it's not supposed to be, so you gotta buckle up and get bored for a while. I like calling it mastering monotony. Hey, welcome to Tuesday. It's very cold. It's about 5 degrees, I think, something under 10. So I'm super bundled up, roughing it outside. I just don't want to spend every run on the treadmill this week. But today, I want to chat about fueling. This was my Achilles heel, for, I don't know, lack of a better term. The thing that limited me, unquestionably, in my marathon journey of trying to get under 3 hours. Which was my goal from the get-go, starting in 2017, and what I struggled to do until 2022. I won't go into depth on fueling in race, because that's really what I struggled with. And I mean, in layman's terms, it was just a matter of I wasn't getting enough carbohydrates, I wasn't getting enough calories. I didn't think I could do gels, so I didn't take gels. Did like honey stinger chews, waffles, little things. I even tried to fuel with RX bars, like eating them on the course. It was a disaster. But I never truly researched it and figured out how it all worked. And if you watch running YouTube, you might see people talk about ketones and creatine and kind of all these peripheral extra energy sources. And I'm not here to talk about if those are the right thing to take or not. I think what's not an argument at all and not up for debate is that there's really two main fuel sources when it comes to running in your body. The first one being the most popular form in carbohydrates. When you consume carbohydrates, your body converts that into what's called glycogen, and glycogen is what burns fast while running. That's why so many people do carbo loads before races, because they want to pack in as much carbohydrates as possible to have as much glycogen as possible to burn on race day or for a big workout. The other form of fuel is fat. And fat is a good fuel source, but it doesn't burn as fast as glycogen. So you can't run as fast while burning fat as opposed to having glycogen stores to pull from. Now, with a lot of time and training, and I'm talking years, months, blocks after blocks, you become more adapted to burning fat efficiently as a runner. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't use your glycogen. This is a debated topic in the running scene. Some people run fasted throughout the week to try to adapt their body better to fat, but I subscribe to a philosophy of fueling and running fueled virtually always. Because performance-wise, this is what's gonna give you your best outcome. And when you're working hard in a workout, you wanna make sure you have the best performance, the best your body can possibly do for that workout to make the best gains possible. But also, it's gonna jumpstart your ability to recover faster for your next session, your next day. Because it's already replenishing those glycogen stores that you're depleting during that run. In all those years trying to go sub 3, I would go out very frequently without eating anything before my runs and not taking any fuel on my runs. Now, every single run that I go on, I always make sure to fuel beforehand. It doesn't have to be complex. An oat bar, some other sort of quick munchy bar that has carbohydrates, a banana, a bagel, an English muffin, anything like that. So that you have a little bit of fuel for yourself on that run and you're not depleting yourself entirely on the run. With all the volume that I do now with 80 plus miles a week, I carry my carb mix with me on everything 10 miles or over. You don't have to do this, but I like fueling within the run, again, to top off those glycogen stores, to be ready for the next day, to recover faster. And also a day like today, I might carry a gel or two in my side pockets, just in case I need a little extra fuel, or if I'm like really bonking, really struggling with the run, even if it's just an easy run, I have a little bit of a pick-me-up to help with energy and then recovery. And while I'm wearing 3 layers today, pretty much everywhere, I am wearing the new Path Project Sentinel tights, the full tights, which I wore last Saturday on my long run workout. First time I ever ran in them. Oh man, total game changer. I've never had a half tight that I love that much because of how many pockets there are. And when you're training, you're doing hard workouts in the cold, having that many pockets, even just for keys, your phone, and all your gels is incredible. I'll show you more of that at some other point in this video because I'm wearing Path pants over the Sentinel tights right now because it's 5 degrees. All right, enough blabbering about this. Hope this is helpful so far. Let's continue on to Wednesday. Also, something else I wanted to add. You know, I talked yesterday about the treadmill, having that as an option. You also don't need to be scared of the elements. You just need to be prepared. So if it's super cold, knowing what kind of layers work well, having something like a balaclava where you can cover your face if it's frigid outside, or knowing that you could strip layers in the summer if it's too hot, or different tricks like cooling yourself down, bringing enough water, staying hydrated on a super humid day. As I mentioned earlier, this video is sponsored by Path Projects. I train in a lot of Path Projects winter gear. So as you've seen me train in this series, you've probably seen me wear things like this jacket. The entire outfit of my last video, the 21-mile workout, was all Path Projects, including the full Sentinel tights that they just dropped and have available now. As I mentioned, I got to be a part of the process of working with their team on developing the Sentinel half tight. I actually raced in the prototypes in Hidden Gem, my half marathon last fall, as well as the Indy Marathon in the next version of the prototype. Those were phenomenal, but they made them even better with more pockets in the final version. So I just wanted to give you a breakdown of what they are, what they look like, and why they stand out, and why I love them, being able to give insight to them. The pocket machines, they're incredible. They have 2 pockets on the side, so you can put your phone in there or gels. This is perfect for marathoning. I have just 1 gel in there right now, but Floris, the founder of Path, he actually fit 24 gels in these things. So this actually is big enough to do top or bottom. So when I marathon with gels, I'm probably gonna do 2 in the bottom ones and then 1 in the top to have 6 total. And then there is a pocket for your cell phone back here as well, or anything else you'd like to put. So 5 pockets total, as well as this little key spot right here, if you wanna throw your key, like car key or house keys in there too. Drawstrings, and there is an elastic band that is tight but comfortable and sewn right there. The material is incredible. It's breathable, it's soft, it's stretchy, and it's already one of my favorite half tights I've ever owned, and it was really special to be able to be a part of the process of helping make them. What's so cool about the full tight is that it's the same exact thing as the half, it's just full length. I've never loved a full tight more. It feels like just an extension of me. And the fact that it has the double pockets for long run workouts like I did last week, where you have to carry a ton of gels and my phone with music, it's incredible. Feels so comfortable, keeps me warm in the winter training. I know there's a few more months of winter training right now. So if you wanna check that out, they're still available. Or if you just wanted to stock up on a pair or two for next winter, it's an incredible piece of gear. So thank you so much to Path Projects for sponsoring this video. It's been a pleasure working with them, and you'll see me continue to rep these half tights and full tights in my training and racing. Hi, welcome to the treadmill. I did not film this morning, but this is a double today. I ran 9 miles this morning, and I'm running 4 miles right now, according to my plan. The reason for doubles is to get more volume on the week. I'm currently in a marathon block where I'm running 80 plus miles a week, and I'll peak out probably at high 80s, probably like 88, I'm guessing. I have 6 weeks till my race right now. I never used to run 80-mile weeks, and the whole build up to going sub 3 in the 5 years that I was going for sub 3, I don't think I ever really crossed 55 miles on a week. I was under the impression in those years that the more mileage you did, the more fit you would get, which is generally true, but it's missing a key component, which I'll get to in a second. But I was convinced that building up to 40, 50 miles a week would get me fit enough to go. I was not really understanding what intensity meant. And thankfully, I'm in a position where I've never had a very serious injury in my running. The worst thing I've ever had is posterior tibial tendonitis. It's under the ball section of your ankle, and it's that tendon that runs there. It's something I always have to deal with, but I finally, after a year, went and got it checked out, physical therapy, figured out how to manage it while training at the volume I like to train at. But a lot of people struggle with running injuries because they increase their volume too early. Volume just means the amount of mileage, the amount of kilometers you run per week in any given training series. There is a rule called the 10% rule, where you're supposed to only increase your mileage 10% week over week as you're building volume. There's really no science behind that from everything I've read, but it's a decent rule. There's a lot of caveats and variables, but you basically just have to figure out for yourself what's the safest way to build volume. If you're coming off injury, you should be super careful getting back into it. If you're really unfit and you haven't been running for months, I would ease in very slowly, because it's very, very easy to become injured, get shin splints, all sorts of crazy things with joints. So you really want to be building this over time. Most people can't safely get to where I'm at until they've done it for like multiple years, if not 3 or 4 years. But the only way you can get to this kind of mileage is if you're putting in the work month after month, year after year, stacking blocks upon stacking blocks. So once I started doing 50 miles a week and running intensity, meaning running VO2 max, repeat workouts, threshold work, and long runs with marathon pace miles in them, I finally became fit enough to run under 3 hours. From there, I kept stacking blocks, spring after fall, after spring after fall, and my times just kept falling as I built volume, as I increased my intensity with my speed work. So I'm currently in a training block where I'm trying to go under 2:30 in the marathon. I do believe that 80 to 90 miles a week in my peak weeks of this block will be enough to get me fit enough to be there. But if I want to go after the dreams of 220s, maybe even below, dare I dream to go below that, it's going to have to be 100-mile weeks. And that's only really done through what I'm doing right now, is doubles. And it's even more intense, like a 12-mile morning, a 6-mile evening, and running virtually every day with no rest. I currently am on 80 to 85 miles a week, with Sunday as my rest day still. So the biggest point here is build volume safely and start adding intensity as you see fit with that growth. And we're gonna go feature that tomorrow morning with a killer Jeff Cunningham workout on a new treadmill. See you there. All right, very interesting morning. I am going to Naperville, which is like 35-minute drive from me, and I'll be testing out a treadmill. It is the Wahoo Kicker treadmill, and it has this feature called Run Free, where you get to dictate the pace just based off of your own running, instead of manually setting your speed or dialing it in or programming it. So I'm really interested to try that, especially on a workout like today. One with massive volume. It should be like a 14-mile workout. It is a crazy Jeff style workout. It's 2 miles of warm up with strides and then 6 miles straight at 5:35 per mile. So threshold work there, into an 800-meter jog rest, and then 3 by 1 mile at 5 minutes and 20 seconds per mile. And 2 minutes and 30 seconds of jog rest in between each of those miles. And then a few miles to cool down. It's gonna be a doozy. See you on the other side.
Okay. It goes 15% up, 3% down, right, which is pretty sweet. Yep. And then it goes down to 4-minute pace. And what I think is actually the thing that like Wahoo doesn't tell you is it's in literal pace. It's not in miles per hour. And you can adjust down to the second.
Right.
That's pretty cool. There's a couple ways to adjust the speed. And then I'll show you the Run Free mode. So the thing with Run Free is it's controlled by the sensor here.
Okay.
Your distance of your body to the sensor is how it's controlled. Now the thing is everyone when they run on a treadmill wants to be up here.
Right.
With Run Free, you actually want to center yourself.
Okay.
Because once you turn the Run Free on, the way to speed it up is to move forward.
And then we start running.
It starts speeding up. The part is you have to recenter yourself.
Go back.
To lock pace. And it speeds up quick.
Jeez.
So then you lock in, or you come back. And like, it stops super quick. So like, you won't get whipped off. The whole thing though with like Run Free is, it's pretty tough to master that like centering. Yeah. That's where like today, you're probably just better controlling it.
This morning is a 10-mile easy run, and because of how intense the workout was yesterday and lifting late, I'm needing to go very slow. Years ago, I would not be willing to run, currently running 9 minutes per mile. I would never do that 4 or 5 years ago because of my pride. So it's very different now, understanding that this needs to be a recovery run. It needs to be so easy because my body's so beat up, and that's okay. Food for thought.
Huh?
Do I want to what?
Do you want your coffee in a Yeti?
Yes. What? It's not even planned, dog. I feel like a sausage. Striegel, do something cool. Did y'all run independently solo before you had a group of people to run with?
Ooh, I did for about 2 years.
I did not. I literally like never ran alone. I started running with a buddy who got me into running, and then I met Cheston.
Yeah.
And what's the difference for you, Cheston?
Oh, dude, night and day. I'm actually spoiled now. I went from a season recently of running every day with Scotty and others to now maybe 2 days. And don't get me wrong, I love the solo time. It's so helpful, but there's nothing like a pack, whether you're doing a workout or not. Like on a cold day, on a thundery morning, or bad conditions, whatever it is, knowing you've got a crew to meet, like it makes it easy to be consistent.
Yeah, I ran solo for like 4 years.
4?
Yeah,
Oh
4 or 5
gosh.
years. It was bad. I didn't really improve. And then once I started meeting people and humbling myself and learning,
Yeah.
I started getting better.
When I met Cheston 2 years ago, I literally like every run was like a long run PR for time. I was like, my marathon pace in 2 weeks was supposed to be 7:30 pace, and our long run for 20 miles was 7:30. And I was like, well,
Yeah, that day, like, oh yeah, you're gonna change your goals. Because he was chilling.
That's great.
What's funny, it like evolved too, where when I first started running, it was just solo mostly. And then it was Saturdays with a guy more or less every week. And evolved into workout Wednesdays as well.
Yeah.
And every day, I mean, we're so fortunate in Louisville in particular.
Yeah. Correct pronunciation of Louisville is very guttural. Louisville.
Oh.
550 pace to end. The only way. We gotta look fast for YouTube. Okay, let's go.
Cooper, high five.
Did you know?
Yay!
I meant to make an informational video about this, but I don't know how many people know this.
Yeah.
You know that you're supposed to
Uh-oh.
Ah, this isn't that bad.
Okay.
Just like make me dominant.
Say boogaloo.
Perfect.
I'm so bad. I always have a good idea of what I want to film when I go on a trip, and then it ends up being like, Hey. The last emphasis I wanted to put on this final part is community. We stayed with the Scarces this weekend. Life in Stride Pod, if you haven't checked it out, you have to. These kinds of relationships just wouldn't exist without running. How on earth would we have been connected outside of running?
Ooh.
There's literally no
There's no way.
Like, he owns a lawn care landscaping
We're like
business.
complete opposites.
And I own straw.
All right, I'd say our friendship is pretty deeply rooted now at this point. A year later after I jumped on the pod.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of crazy. Well, it's a weekend like this is immersing somebody in your family life. And
Yeah,
like,
that's very
you know, when you have somebody over for dinner one night, you can clean your house and you can get it all perfect. But like if you have somebody for 48 hours and they sleep 2 nights in your house, you can't hide.
Yeah, it's
like
really different.
normal. So just being normal with somebody and like really like putting effort into friendship, I just live for that.
Yeah. Well, we are really similar in that way.
Yes.
But yeah, it's like any industry or niche or hobby or whatever. Like, you're gonna find people that you connect with. So, but if you don't actually put yourself out there, you know, like if I didn't say yes to going on the podcast or become friends with Sam, who connected us,
Yeah.
like none of those connections would happen. So I'll always encourage getting out of your comfort zone, whether it be in a race weekend, in a group run, community. Like, he lives in Louisville, it's a 5-hour drive.
Yeah, to come here is a big deal.
But it doesn't need to be even local to where you are all the time.
Yeah.
Like, there are runners that exist everywhere, so don't be afraid to connect with people. Oh, we have to leave.
You do have to leave.
Was that the transition?